Hello, white people. I have a sad video for you today. I'm going to share all of the hard things that have been going on in my life lately. You know, my life is not really that bad. I think I have a pretty good life. I am very blessed. But it's about my mom. And those of you who are new to the channel, my mom, she was diagnosed with lung cancer with metastases to 7 places in her bones and 30 places in her brain, or more than 30 places in her brain. I guess whoever was counting the spots in her brain stopped counting after 30. So she was diagnosed about our last June, so a little more than a year ago, about 18 months. And so immediately when my mother was diagnosed, I flew back home. I guess the West Coast is home, but I love Ohio better. And I took her to alternative therapy, alternative medicine. We did Chinese herbs and acupuncture, and so she's addicted to the mainstream medical industrial complex. She's addicted to that. And so she decides, she needs to sign up with the cancer doctor. She needs to do radiation. And then after the radiation, which just totally kicks her butt, she's doing chemotherapy. She's getting these pills, and I disagree with all of it. So I have to separate myself and my sister. She has power of medical attorney, and thank God, because I just don't agree with my mother on how you manage health conditions. I worked in alternative medicine most of my, well, not all of my nursing career, but at least a good chunk of it. And basically, if you're not familiar with alternative medicine, all it does is the goal is to reduce inflammation. It's nothing fancy. It doesn't target like specific diseases. It targets inflammation, decrease inflammation. Because with inflammation, you have pain, you have all kinds of issues. So mainstream medicine causes inflammation, and that's why people they will exhaust all their routes with mainstream medicine, and then they'll turn to alternative medicine when they've beat the shit out of their bodies and expect alternative medicine to save them when they should have done alternative medicine from the beginning. But they think it's woo-woo, voodoo science. Alternative medicine is voodoo science. Actually, mainstream medicine is voodoo science, especially cancer treatment. And so over the last year and a half, my mom has been very sweet. So my mother has bipolar disorder. And my whole life, she would be sweet, but then she would be incredibly mean. And she would say the meanest things to the point where I got... I just, if anybody says anything mean to me, I just completely ignore it because I don't care. It doesn't bother me if people say mean things because it's about them, not about me. You realize, everybody has a different kind of response to people who are close to them with bipolar disorder. And, it's you got to cope and survive when you're a child. And as soon as I was able to leave my house right after I graduated from high school, I left. I have not turned back. And I don't know if my mother was the meanest to me, but she can be pretty mean and say some really dirty things. And, but you have to look past some of that and think about all the other things. I don't know. Everybody gets to deal with their insane family, how they feel best suits them. So she was so nice and loving and caring to my son. God, did she ever say anything? The only time I ever heard her say anything mean to my son was when he was, I think he was about 25 or something like that, and he was so surprised. It was about the wine. He called me up and he asked me what kind of wine Grandma likes, and I was like, I don't know, but he got whatever, and she didn't like it, and she was pretty rude about it. He was so surprised because she is never rude to him. She never said anything mean or biting to him, not like when we were kids. So she puts on the facade for the boy, but she shows us the real character. So anyway, over the last year and a half, she'd been really sweet, and she did have some outbursts, but they were outbursts and not really anything mean. Like I said, I've dealt with it for over 50 years, and it's not a big deal because you're used to it. But I did kind of like it when she was really sweet. So now here we are faced again with the issue of her not making it, and they said that the chemotherapy that she was doing wasn't working anymore, and the tumors were have gotten a lot bigger. And they gave her the option of doing chemotherapy, sitting in a chair for 5 hours. I don't know how often, but the side effects of chemotherapy. And if you have any family members that have been through chemotherapy, it's just evil. And then she also had the option of immunotherapy, which is still evil. It has horrible side effects. And she decided to do the immunotherapy because, it's the easiest, or whatever, least amount of time spent in the doctor's office. And when I found out about this, I was calling her, I was texting her, and she was ignoring me. It was really weird. I mean, sometimes she's dippy and can't find her phone. Phone is not her priority, so she loses it. She forgets to charge it. And so I call and I leave a message, and I told her I found out about that the chemotherapy wasn't working anymore, and I said, please don't do the immunotherapy. While you still feel pretty good, let's go do something. Let's go travel and see some sites that we haven't seen before. So I left this as a voice message, and then she calls me back, and she's mad. And she says, don't ever call me again. Well, given that she's bipolar, she doesn't mean that. Literally, she means just for the moment until she calms down. And so, anyway, so she went ahead and took my advice on going and doing something, and had my sister take her to Hawaii for a week. And my sister said it was total hell because my mom doesn't feel good. She started the immunotherapy. It made her feel like shit. And on the plane ride back from Hawaii, oh, and by the way, they picked up her sister, or they, I guess, met her sister. My cousin got my aunt, and my aunt has dementia, so she's a Fruit Loop. And so my sister and my cousin, they're herding around these two cranky old ladies. Anyway, on the flight back, my mother starts crying, and she's screaming at my sister in public, by the way. My mother has no filter whatsoever. Screaming at my sister how everything's her fault, and she hates her and wishes she were dead, and just the meanest shit. And it's a wonder anybody talks to that woman, anybody talks to my mother, because she says some really nasty things. But so now I'm faced with my mother not making it, and the immunotherapy is just making her worse. She's lost her voice. So she can't scream at us anymore. She can't say anything ugly. I mean, it's kind of funny because, my brother, he would say, how you shut mom up, you just take away her pen. And it's a really hard thing, you have to love people as they are. You can't fix them, you can't change them, you can't wish they were anything. And if they're ugly, they have ugly, nasty moments, you just have to, I don't know, however you want to cope. If you don't like people talking to you, people bipolar disorder saying all those nasty, ugly things. I left when I was 18. My mom was surprised. She was surprised because when I got out of high school, I packed up my shit and I left. I didn't give anybody any warning or whatever. I just left. Bye, everybody. I'm gone. And yeah, she was devastated when I left. I left very unceremoniously. But that was a long time ago, and I've dealt with my mom for 52 years now, and I would not wish any kid to grow up with a mom like that. She was a terrible mother. I don't even know why I talked to the woman. Well, she's still my mother, and, She's so good to my son, though. She said that, or my aunt, my mother's sister, told me that when my son was born, she used to call my son the love of her life. I mean, how can you not love anybody and forgive them when they say something like that? So I just try to keep everything and everyone in perspective. And, I have a very good life. I am so blessed. I am surrounded by supportive people. So I really don't have anything to complain about. And so that's basically my life right now. And so now my sister says my mom is fine. She's not. She's lost 25 pounds and she can't talk and she's rapidly declining because, she believes in the medical industrial complex. And, oh well, that's just the way it goes. I will be all right because I have so many supportive people in my life. I'm very blessed. And that's how you get through these hard times, is to have a support group. Or if you don't have a support group, you have to turn inward and turn to the Lord and turn to your Bible and look there for support. I mean, there was a time in my life where I felt like I didn't have, I've always had support because I'm a supportive person, but there are times that I felt like I didn't have it because I was looking in the wrong places. But it's tough, just lost my dad almost a year ago. So Thanksgiving, Dad died a week before Thanksgiving. And so my mom, she might, I don't think I haven't seen her face since December. So it's been several months. She's been doing okay, so I didn't feel like it was a priority to be in her face, especially since she's so annoying. But anyway, so I'll be traveling back to Washington State here pretty soon to take care of the old lady and wash the poop off of her butt once she can't do that anymore, and then watch her die a slow, horrible death because everything they're doing is making the tumors in her lungs expand rapidly, so she's going to suffocate. Not just a charming thought. And my mother, other than having bipolar disorder and saying all those ugly things, she may say ugly things, but she doesn't do ugly things. She doesn't, go out and harm people. She's a very honest person, very reliable person. So, I don't know. Bipolar disorder. Not fun. Especially not a fun thing to grow up with. That's okay. That's my life. All right, everyone. I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you very, very much.